chief leaders of Siddhaloka, Asuraha, the demons, Manushyaha, the inhabitants of Burloka. Who's that? Who lives on Burloka? We do. That means the human beings. Yes, that's us. So they're talking about us here. Okay, so we should pay attention. They're talking about you and me. Okay? Kuta, where? Nu, indeed. Vidyadhara, the lesser demigods, known as Vidyadharas. Charana, the residents of the planets where people are by nature great musicians and singers. Adayaha, and so on. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles, nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, Vidyadharas and Charanas. Purport. When challenged by the Vishnudutas to describe the principles of religion, the Yamaduta said, Veda pranihito dharma. The religious principles are the principles enacted in the Vedic literature. They did not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, but are meant to keep peace and order among materialistic persons in the material world. You want me to read that sentence again? They did not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, but are meant to keep peace and order among materialistic persons in the material world. Real religious principles are nistraigunya, above the three modes of material nature, or transcendental. The Yamadutas did not know these transcendental religious principles, and therefore, when prevented from arresting Ajamila, they were surprised. Materialistic persons who attach all their faith to the Vedic rituals are described in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, text 42, wherein Krishna says, Vedavada ratak parta nanyat astiti vadinaha. The supposed followers of the Vedas say that there is nothing beyond the Vedic ceremonies. Indeed, there is a group of men in India who are very fond of the Vedic rituals, not understanding the meaning of these rituals, which are intended to elevate one gradually to the transcendental platform of knowing Krishna. Vedaishta sarvair aham eva vedya. Those who do not know this principle, but who simply attach their faith to the Vedic rituals, are called Vedavada Rataha. Herein it is stated that the real religious principle is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That principle is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. One should give up all other duties and surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the real religious principle everyone should follow. Even though one follows Vedic scriptures, one may not know this transcendental principle, for it is not known to everyone. To say nothing of human beings, even the demigods in the upper planetary systems are unaware of it. This transcendental religious principle must be understood from the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, or from His special representative, as stated in the next verses. Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat pranitam navai vidurishayanapi devaha nasida mukhya asura manushya kuto nuvidyadaracharanaadaya. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles, nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, vidyadharas and charanas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kritpadam aham vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Dhanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. The blessings of all the Vaishnavas. The Yamadutas were confused. They were upset and they were so disturbed that they were ready to commit suicide. Now that's pretty drastic. If you got somebody who's ready to commit suicide, that's pretty drastic. And something has to be done. Their confusion came because they knew certain parts on a need-to-know basis. They were instructed according to their capacity. What is the Yamaduta's task? Their task is search and, not destroy, but search and rescue. They bring the jiva to Yamaraj, who will then award punishment for the sinful living entities. They have been given certain specific instructions, but because of their nature, they were not fully capable of understanding the bigger picture. Now we say sometimes a little bit of knowledge is very dangerous, because a person knows something or thinks to know everything, but actually only knows part of the truth. It happens a lot in many fields. So they were confused, they were disturbed, they were depressed. It was a pretty intense situation. They came to Yamaraj in a somewhat challenging mood, asking him, now how many chiefs are there, we just came back from a mission and some people, much more powerful than us, just kind of, just defeated us. That was very disturbing to them. First time this ever happened to them. So obviously they felt that there was a conflict here. They were confused about the parallel lines of authority. It happens to devotees also. You get an instruction from your spiritual master, you get an instruction from your temple president, or your teacher, or your GBC, and you don't know, how can I balance these two? And people come to pretty interesting conclusions, but the Yamadutas are doing the right thing. They're going back to their authority and they're asking, what is it that you want me to do? There seems to be two here, so why don't you work it out amongst yourself, and it's whatever you decide, it's fine with us, okay? We're not getting involved here. Why not? Because we are the servants. You see? To be a servant is a very safe position. Kinkara. Kinkara means, na kinkara nayan rini jarajan, sarvatmanayak sharanam sharanyam. Kinkara means, okay, what can I do? You please tell me what I can do. That is what I will do. So that is a safe position. They took the safe position and asked Yamaraj for advice. Most of our problems come because we have a mistaken sense of identity. We take ourselves to be the center of attention. We do not understand the difference between a subject and an object. So, therefore, because of our mistaken identity, we run into a lot of problems in our life. Now, whether these problems manifest in the form of an inferiority or superiority complex does not really matter, because they're based on a mistaken identity. So insecurity is a very bad position to act upon, because it is a very shaky ground. It is not a stable ground. Right here, the Yamadutas, they're insecure. They're not feeling empowered because their mission was thwarted. This happens to all of us on a regular basis, that we want to do something, but we're not successful. Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Like right now, I'm trying to write my final dissertation for Bhakti Vaibhava. And I just realized that dropping out of 9th grade wasn't that much helpful, because we didn't do that big deal of essay writing, you know. We had a lot of fun there, you know, in the boarding school. We did a lot of sports and a lot of other things, but essay writing was not amongst them. So you realize that you don't really know what you're doing, but you still try. Now, that is good. That is honorable, because life is not all about doing things right, but it's more about doing the right things with the right attitude. Just like Prabhupada in the purport speaks about the followers of Vedic principles. Veda Vadarata. Now, we hear this, we read this periodically in Prabhupada's books. And it's sometimes, you know, who are these people, right? I mean, who are they? I met them. And I will share very short, then we get back to the topic. It is the topic, but it's just a short little diversion. I was in South India and I wanted to go see my worshipful Lord in Guruvayur, but I knew that there was some obstacles to see him. So being aware of the obstacles, I took precaution. And I went to Calicut, which is also in the state of Kerala, to the Arya Samaj, which is the officially government-deputed Hindu organization, which is empowered to give you decrees or certificates. All of you certificate seekers, this is the place where you can get certificate that you're a Paka Hindu, that you're a bona fide Hindu. So it was a little shack and one clerk, and I paid him the money, and then I sat down near a little fire pit. There was an old man, and there was a Muslim girl sitting next to me. I wondered whether they want me to get married to her, but no. She was a Muslim girl who needed to get the Hindu certificate, otherwise she couldn't marry her Hindu husband. So everything was wrong. From my perspective, everything was wrong, you know? Wrong place, wrong people, wrong thing, wrong attitude, you know, there's no kirtan, no prashadam. It was not good. But my intention was, I need to see my Lord in Guruvayur, because I know that there will be obstacles. So I got the decree, and I went. And sure enough, when I wanted to get into the temple, one of the guards, he asked me, he called me, Now, I had friends who kind of snuck in, who were, you know, not so tall, but I knew that he would not, you know, they would spot me. So, always look for the tall guy. So then I took out my decree and I presented it to him, upon which he was very happy that I'm now a certified bona fide Hindu. So I was allowed to go and see the Lord of my life. And it was quite impressive because they're having Hati procession every night inside the temple. The temple is quite big and it's big stone structure. And the elephants, they're inside. Can you imagine going around with 5 elephants? It was quite an experience. Then, being reminded by Srila Prabhupada of our duty and of our tradition, of course, I carried some books with me. And I went around the temple and I tried to distribute some books, but it was exceedingly difficult. Because, not because so much of the language barrier, but because people were very busy in whatever they were doing. And it was hard for me to break through. Did you ever have that experience? That it's hard to break through those layers? So then I saw one couple, and they had a new car, and they were doing Gari Puja. They were doing puja to the car, to the vehicle. Only in India, you know, this happens. We call it Vedic nonsense, you know. So, and I approached them. I thought, you know, they look educated, they look wealthy, they just got a new, you know, Suzuki Maruti or something, little nitsy bitsy, you know, car. And they were in a festive mood. It was the right place, and I approached them, but I got rejected. Because their focus, their attention was somewhere else. Their intent, their motive was not to please the Supreme Lord or to hear about Him. The motive was to celebrate their new car. So, what is my motive? Why have I come to Mayapur? Why am I studying whatever it is that I'm studying? What is my attitude? I just learned this morning before Mangal Arati from a good friend, ABC, the ABC of Krishna consciousness. According to Shankar Prabhu, who is the temple president in Ottawa, Canada, and he has been the temple president for more than 20 years. So he deserves a Medal of Honor and a decree. Because if you have been a temple president in ISKCON for more than 20 years, practically speaking, you're a saint. Otherwise, you can't do it, right? Am I right, Rita? No. So, what are the ABCs of Krishna consciousness? A stands for attitude. Attitude is everything, as they say. You may go to class, you may learn so many shlokas, you may learn so many rituals, but if your attitude is off, it's all bad. It is all for naught. There is no real benefit. What does attitude lead to? It leads to behavior. Behavior, our acts, our activities, they're based on our attitudes. And then C, of course, you think character, because character is what a person is made up with. But since we only have A, B, C, we're not going further. C means commitment. My spiritual master asked the God brother who is running a temple, are you happy and are you committed? So we should ask ourselves these same questions every day. Am I happy and am I committed? It's very important. Because if I'm actually happy, what's the conclusion? What is the sequence of that? I'm committed. I'm committed to the cause. So attitude, bhava. What is the bhav? What is your bhav today? Am I in the bhav, in the mood of a servant, or am I in the bhav, in the Ishvara bhav? Ishvaroham maham bhogi. Those are very important questions, you see. Otherwise we get sidetracked. Just like Ravan, he was a pandit, he was a scholar, he was most expert in all the Vedic arts. I'm sure his dhoti was perfectly folded, his chadar was perfectly draped, and he was a handsome fellow. He could disguise himself, but he was a Rakshasa. Krishna is known as Bhava Grahi Janardhan. He is the one who absorbs the bhava, or the mood, the essence. That is what is interesting to Krishna. Vidura's wife, she offered banana peel. Krishna ate it. Miniketan Ramdas, when he was at the house of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's an associate of Lord Nityananda. He's in the mood of a coward boy. He's playing his flute, and people were bowing down to him. Sometimes he would get up on their back. Sometimes he would slap them. Sometimes he would hit them with the flute. Now, what kind of a behavior is that? You're in somebody else's home, and you crawl on people's backs, and you slap them, and you hit them with a flute. It's all wrong. But because he was in an ecstatic mood of a coward boy, of an eternal associate of Lord Nityananda, manifesting ecstatic symptoms in pure love of Godhead, people became blessed. They were so elated and inspired by him. Except the priest, Kunarma Mishra, and also except the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother had faith in Lord Chaitanya, but no faith in Lord Nityananda. And thus, he neglected Miniketan Ramdas. And there was an argument, upon which Miniketan Ramdas broke his flute and left that place. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami states that that was the night when my brother fell down from devotional service. This is very serious. If we are having great faith in one process, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that it's better to be an atheist. It's better to reject both than to accept one and reject the other. At least you got integrity. At least you're consistent. So if we accept one devotional service, but we reject another, or we accept one devotee, but we reject another, we're making the same mistake. And our progress in bhakti will be stifled by this. So what is my bhava? What is my attitude? And the same night, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had a dream. Lord Nityananda appeared to him and told him, go to Vrindavan. So the same night he left, even though he was a very old gentleman. And he went to Vrindavan. So, what is the proper mood? The proper mood is, I'm a servant. And a servant's duty is to please the object of his service. It's not on his terms. It's on the terms of the master. So we should not become confused or upset, because sometimes the mission is only revealed on a need-to-know basis. We may not see the bigger picture. We may only see from here to here, or from here to here. We should not become confused. We should have faith that our spiritual authorities, they know what is good for us. And they will reveal the path to us according to our degree of advancement. Srila Prabhupada writes in his books that advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the practitioner. So how to develop the right kind of attitude? What is the right kind of attitude? It is, I'm a servant. I'm here to serve. How do I develop this? By practicing service, devotional service on a daily basis. Especially when we try to show mercy to the innocent, when we're trying to give Krishna consciousness to others, we're forced to take this humble role, this humble position of I'm the servant. Otherwise, the mind, being a rascal, is very expert at twisting and turning things around in such a way to make us believe you're the enjoyer. You are the controller. At least of your own little cubicle. At least of my little mental space. What's between my ears? I'm the controller and enjoyer of that. So self-preservation is the #1 business of the materialistic mind. But we're not going down that route. So what is Dharma? Savai pungsang paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaitukiya pratiyata yanatma suprasidati. Paradharma, not some Hindu dharma, Muslim dharma, Christian dharma, not something based on nationality. All these things can be changed. And I experienced it. I was born Roman Catholic, and in Calicut, I became a Hindu, you know. I mean, my life didn't change because of that, but, you know. So why should we waste energy to convert people from being materialistic Christians, Muslims, Jews, to being materialistic Hindus? There's no benefit in that. Yanatma suprasidati. If we do not, Dharma svanustita pungsang vishvakshena katasuya nodpadayed yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. It's a waste of time. It's useless endeavor if we don't help people to develop their attraction for what? Vishvakshena katasuya. For Krishna. Their attraction for kata, Krishna kata. Then it's a useless endeavor. It's a waste of time, basically speaking. So, the Vedas are giving wonderful guidelines, as Srila Prabhupada points out in this one sentence that we read. What kind of guidelines are the Vedas giving us? They did not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, but are meant to keep peace and order amongst materialistic persons in the material world. Now, peace and order is pretty good nowadays, right? I mean, it's something. It's a start. But we should do better than that. We should go beyond that. And what is that Nishtray Gunya? Those are real religious principles. Those are the principles of the Bhagavatam. The principles of devotional service. The principles of bhakti. And they're explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agandun vansnikartsneya niharam iva bhaskara. We don't like the fog in the morning. Anybody here likes the fog? No. I mean, I used to play ice hockey, you know, so for me it's like even in your ice rink, you know, so it's okay, but it's not so nice, right? But when the sun comes up and all the nonsense fog goes away, everybody feels very happy. Okay. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andhakara, Yahan Maya, Mayadikara. Krishna is the sun. As soon as the Krishna sun illuminates our life, all the fog of nescience, all the avidya, it goes far away. But if we again take shelter of subservience, of secondary rules and regulations and rituals, and we take them to be primary, if we again become confused and we become Vedavada Ratas, then we're missing the boat. We're missing the point. And it's unfortunate. There's so much fighting and strife in the world, so many wars. And many of them fought on sub-religious principles. In the Middle East, 2 different sects of Muslims are killing each other. In Ireland, 2 different sects of Christians are killing each other. And what do we have here? A few different sects of Hare Krishnas. But what are they doing? Are they fighting with each other? Or are they cooperating with each other? Srila Prabhupada wanted us to come to Mayapur every year to discuss what? Unity in diversity. If it's just diversity, it's material. If it's just about, oh, unity, oh yeah, we're so united. No. We have to see the balance between the two. Yes, I love to distribute books. It's my life. But when I see the pujaris, when I see the devotees doing kirtan so exquisitely for the Lord, I rejoice. I'm happy. This is wonderful. It's a team effort. We're doing this together. But if I see distinction, if I see separation, then I'm cheating myself. Then I'm not able to make progress in Krishna consciousness. That's why it's so important that we have peer association. The Yamadutas, they had a hard time figuring it out. They went back to Yamaraj, and he explained them how things work. We have the advantage of having peers. But if we don't see anybody as a peer, then we cannot take advantage of it. If we only see juniors and a couple of seniors that are kind of floating around up there in the outer space, every now and then I might connect with one of them, then we're disconnected. What will be the result? We will be insecure. We will not have a stable ground. There will be no progress, no traction, even though we're spinning our wheels. So Yamaraj, as an expert leader, as a Mahajan, he is instructing and empowering and guiding his servants. Nowadays in ISKCON, it has become quite a common scenario that people just, by the natural progression of time, they're moving up because the law of seniority means that one day you're the oldest banana on the shelf. Pardon my French, but that's just the way how it goes. And you just inherit the credentials of being the senior most. And it can go quite fast. You know, you just have to stay alive. That's all you have to do. But it doesn't really mean that you're trained or qualified. You know, a couple of years ago, I was just the young kid running around, happy-go-lucky. And a few decades later, you inherit whatever you want, you know. But are you qualified? Are you trained for that? So we should take note of that and try to get trained and not think that, yes, I have this entitlement mentality. I put in the effort, now I want to enjoy the result. I've done something, now it's payback time. What do I get out of it? That's village politics. I've done you a favor, now you owe me. And you got to pay it back to me with interest whenever I claim that little favor back. That's not bhakti. So Yamaraj was very careful. He instructed, he empowered, he monitored, he made sure his servants were kept in place and they were functional. And we have seen it too many times. Devotees growing in Krishna consciousness, but simultaneously other things are also growing. So to become aware of this, we need the help. We need the help of our seniors, but we mostly need the help of our peers, because peers are close to us. We can relate to them, and they can tell us things that we don't want to hear. Now, of course, we can even sit in Bhagavatam class and not hear, or we can just not go to class. But we're here to learn. Why? Because I'm a servant. And what's the qualification of a servant? A servant is the order carrier, kinkara. So he actually has to pay attention. What is it that you would like me to do? Lord Brahma said, Vedeshu durlabha madhurlabha matma bhaktao govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. You are not understood by the Vedas, but only by unalloyed, pure devotion of the soul. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santaksa daiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shyama sundaram achintya gunaksvarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. If the eyes are anointed with the tinge of salve of love of God, then through those eyes we can see Krishna, and we can appreciate the beauty of devotional service and the devotees of the Lord. Lord Brahma, his body consists of pure intelligence. If he wants something, just by thinking of it, it happens. That's a scary thought for us, right? I mean, don't entertain that. If you follow Vedic Varnashram for 100 lifetimes, you become Lord Brahma. Just in case you have plans, okay? This is what it takes, okay? So, but what did Lord Brahma do? He appeared as Haridas Thakur in a Muslim family, considered an outcast. Took the humble role, did not enter the temples, did not intimately associate with most of the different functions that were going on. Always absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But Lord Chaitanya was so attracted to Haridas Thakur that every day they would meet and they would discuss. Every day. The Lord was so attracted by his devotion. So if you have devotion, we have everything. Because this is bhava. This is the real attitude. The attitude of a devotee. How can I serve? How can I please? And in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will become attracted. And when we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and Lord Nityananda's mercy, by engaging ourselves in this Sankirtan movement, then there's nothing we cannot attain. So, in this Kali Yuga, all these medicines and all these processes do not really work. They're not really potent. But there is one good. Asti hi eka mahaguna. Kirtanadayeva Krishnasya. Mukta Sangha Parambraje. There's one good news. The good news. Hari Bol. That simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we can achieve the supreme perfection. Now the Vedic rituals, the Vedic processes, they're not nonsense. Our attitude is nonsense. What is the attitude? What is wrong in it? That I can use this for my own enjoyment. That is what is wrong. Of course the Vedic is superior. If I would have the choice between a Vimana and a Boeing 747, I would take the Vimana every day of the week. Hey, it's ecological, right? You just, wherever you want to go, you're right there. I'm sure it's a great view. Huh? Unfortunately, it's not available to us. So we have to avail of other forms of transportation. Huh? Weaponry, medicine, there were so many higher sciences, but they're not available to us nowadays. So we are availing of others, but we're using them in Krishna's service. We having the intent to please Krishna. Then it is yukta vairagya, then it is actually beneficial. Otherwise, it will be binding. It will be binding whether it's a material tool of the lower grade or a material tool of the very refined and elevated grade. But it will still be binding. So bhakti is the key. Huh? Devotion to Krishna. To connect all our activities, pranayar artayar diyavacha, to please Krishna. Any questions?
I have one.
Okay, we got 2 here and 1 here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. You gave a wonderful class. My question is that you told about being qualified or trained, not by time. Being qualified or trained, not
Yes.
by, yeah.
Yes.
No, yes, you are writing about that we got the medal of seniority just by being stay alive in movement, in ISKCON.
Yes.
So, and you were explaining about being qualified or trained. We should be focus
Yes, so
on that.
what is your question?
So my question is how we can be qualified or trained to really be deep in our Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. The training comes when we expose ourselves to being corrected. We're going to school. This is an educational movement. That means I have to have the attitude of a student. What is the attitude of a student? I'm ready to be corrected. But if we already know everything, then why should you waste your time going to school? Oh, it's just a material process, Oh, they're using these mlecha type of, didactics and all this stuff. No. I'm a student. I need to learn. Now, if your brain works Vedic, that's great. Then you're a Shrutidar. Then you hear it once and you remember it. Message received, understood, everything's clear. But if not, then we need to hear again and again and again and again and again. And because nowadays most people are Western educated, including the Indians, they have to go through the process of didactics, of dissecting. It's also there in the Vedic. It's not so much different in terms of the approach. But our mind always tells us one thing. I already know. Has your mind ever told you that? Or is it just my mind who tells me that? Huh? I already know. And thus, I can't learn. Because if I already know, then I'm useless for learning. A student can learn in any situation. Sometimes things are not ideal. Your classroom, your setting, your health. Maybe the teacher is not, what you expected it to be. But if your attitude is right, you can always extract. Yes, Prabhu. We had one question here.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you for a very nice lecture. My question is about unity and diversity, as you mentioned very nice in lecture. How we can this approach and this how we can get eyes of unity and diversity, because I see it's the most needed now for me and for my peers and maybe ISKCON, this unity and diversity, to understand and to see this. But can you a little bit more?
Thank you. What is Prabhupada's mission? He wants us to practice Krishna consciousness and to spread Krishna consciousness. If we're divided, in that famous letter to Kirtananda about unity and diversity, you can look it up on the internet. He made the point of the sticks, that you take one stick, you can break it, but you take a few sticks, you tie them together, it's a bundle of sticks, you can't break it. I've seen people who were stronger and faster and powerful and more accomplishing than practically any of us here in this room. But they're not here today. Why are they not here today? Because they thought, I know it, I know how to do it, so get out of the way. And what did Krishna say? I don't like this attitude. And he removed them. And there are others who may not be that strong, may not be that efficient, proficient, expedient, but they're trying to be humble servants, and they stick together in the association of devotees. And they're here today, doing service, blissfully. So look up that letter from Srila Prabhupada to Kirtananda and think upon it deeply. It's a big topic, and I don't want to get into that right now, but thank you for bringing it up. Last question. Yes, Mataji.
For me, this class is very good class. I learned so much. O sea que I understand that the more important is not make service. The more important is your attitude before any service, before another devotees. O sea que my attitude must be if I can serve you, in what I can serve you, in what I can learn from you. You not think I am superior than you, or I am the best. I am nothing. I am nothing. I must think I can learn every day I can learn from all the devotees.
Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you for your kind attention. All glory Srila Prabhupada, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Pramanandi.